Hey everybody, back to another study. This morning we're going to be looking at a crisis that we all have, whether we know it or not. I think all of us come to at some point to this, especially as a follower of Christ. We come to this point, this crisis point. What I'm thinking about is, most of you, if you're watching this, you are no doubt a follower of Jesus. You are probably familiar with the hymn, the song, "I Surrender All." If you're old enough, like me, to remember the Billy Graham Crusades, that was a part of those evangelistic crusades. Is at the end they would sing, "I Surrender All." The hymn writer, just as a little bit of history here as we begin, the hymn writer was to a point in his life, he had a career, very successful. I mean, he went to college. This is back, 100 years ago. So he's went to college, which is very unusual for 100 years ago. Not many people were in college 100 years ago. Not that most people are now, but even more rare then. And so he's got this successful career. And he's doing well. God is blessing him. He is a Christian. And so he's like, oh, God's blessing me. This is awesome. But he comes to a point where, as a part of his church, there are revivals that are happening, evangelistic camp meetings of the time, to kind of give you the flavor of back then. And he feels this tension of, I've got this career, and then I've got this, not really a side gig, but he's doing it as a part of his being a part of this local body of believers, helping out with these evangelistic camp meetings. And that's going well. He's successful there. He's got confidence. And so when he helps over here, he feels like, hey, I'm doing a good job. It seems like things are working well. I really enjoy this. But it moves past that for him. And he comes to this crisis moment of, hey, do I do this side gig, for lack of a better term for it, with the church? I can't get that off my mind. Do I stop doing my job and just go do this? Because helping out with the evangelistic camp meetings doesn't pay anything. But his job, he's college educated, and so his job pays pretty well. For the days that he's in. He's not Rockefeller rich or, Vanderbilt or anything like that. But, for the times, he's college educated. He's quite well off. And he comes to this moment, what am I going to do? And it's more than about what am I going to do. It becomes, am I holding up, in his case, this employment? Is that holding a higher place up in his life than God? Or has he surrendered all to God? And that's where this hymn comes out from, is the crisis for him to decide that. And I said at the beginning just a few minutes ago that I think we all come to this point, and you may not even realize it, but you and I make choices. We make choices between this or that. You wake up in the morning, I'm going to have bacon and eggs today. That's a choice. It's not, necessarily good or evil or bad or good or, I'm going to use this brand of toilet paper versus that brand. I'm going to use Bayer aspirin instead of Tylenol. different choices, I'm saying, you know. But this choice of what do I do with my life? Who's got first place? And as a Christian, that is crucial, because if Christ does not have first place in your life, then are you really a Christian? I'm not going to point a finger and say, but it's a question that you and we need to ask. I mean, if Christ doesn't have first place, then are you really a Christian? Can you be, I've heard the term lukewarm Christian. Is there such a thing, really? I don't know. I'll leave that for you to decide. It's something that that's on my mind, and so I'm sharing this with you. Getting back to the hymn writer, the I surrender all. Have you surrendered all? I ask myself that question. Have I surrendered all? Is there something in my life much more important to me? Does it take more of a higher place to me than Christ does? Or have I surrendered all? I challenge you, even if you're not part of a local body of believers at this present moment and you happen to be watching this, you can go on Google, I surrender all, type it in, and you can get the lyrics to that song. Read through that for yourself and ask yourself, can I say this? Do I dare say this? Because God's listening. And if I speak the words of that song, if I'm a part of, say you go to worship service this Sunday and that's part of the singing, well, it isn't just words that you're singing. You probably know, I mean, it may seem quite obvious that if you're singing in church, you're not singing, and so that person next to you can go, my, what a lovely voice you have. You are singing in the church, in the worship service for God. You are singing very literally to God. And so when you speak, you sing the words to those songs, and maybe you're a person that, hey, I think my voice sucks, and so I don't sing because I don't want to hurt people's ears. I don't want to do the Memorex test and break glass. Even if you're thinking through the words of the song, Jesus clearly says in the Gospels, as we think, therefore we do, and therefore we are. So we're responsible for our thoughts in that matter too. So I challenge all of you today, and I know this is shorter, but I see there's fewer people this last week here, and I know people are busy, so maybe this will help. It's going to be about half the length. Read through the verses of I Surrender All and see what you think. Can you honestly sing that to God? Because God's the judge, not you, not me, not the guy next to you, not the woman sitting over here. God is our judge. He's listening, and he's like, you just sang this, and he'll decide. I mean, he knows. He doesn't even need to decide. He knows your life. He knows my life, and he knows. Read that through for yourself, because you and I, as believers in Christ, it's essential for our life to be closer to God. Every day, closer to God, closer to God. And so, read through the hymn, I Surrender All. Even if you're not a big hymn person, you can read the words. Could you sing that song? Could you read through those words, saying them to God and mean them? Because God knows there is no fooling him. I'll see you next week.